All right. All right. Here we are back again with another edition, SKD Dynasty League. We've got my co-commissioner Summer here, and we've got a special guest appearance from Omar. Omar, say hi to the league.
Hey, hello everybody. If I say mean things, I hope it hurts. That's all I gotta say.
Don't worry, you can't nearly be as mean as Summer. No one can be. So that's just don't worry.
I saw you grilling Kyle the other day. I was like, damn.
She was
Let me do some homework. Let me make sure I know.
It's not hard to grill Kyle when he's so high.
He was baked, bro. I was like, man, I ain't seen you like that in a long time. You must have had a long day at work, but anyway, so yeah, guys, we're I've got a couple other of these scheduled with some other league mates. I know a lot of us don't really know each other. Half of us know each other for some other leagues. The other half of, you guys know each other for some other leagues. So I think it'd be a good idea to just get FaceTime with everybody. So people get to know who, is going to be in this league, which I hope is around for a long time. I'd like this Dynasty League to stay with this core group of people that seem to be active. And so, so today I asked Omar to hop in for a few minutes. He's going to give his opinion on the sort of power rankings. He's got like a bottom three and he's got a top three. And so we'll go to those here in a little bit, but let's start with how we always start, which is current NFL news. So the big bombshell that dropped yesterday, and I'm glad I got me a Cowboy fan here today, Miss Summer. I'm so happy I got one Cowboy fan on this call because we got to hear this, and I know she has some thoughts. So we're not going to wait any longer. We're going to get right into it. Summer Renfro, tell me how you feel about giving up a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance, and he has 2 years left on his deal, and all you guys have to pay him is about $6 million over those 2 years. And so the floor is yours, my lady. What do you think?
I like it for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not big on Will Greer.
Okay.
I don't think that's a great QB3. And Cooper Rush did a great job game managing, but he didn't scare defenses. So if Dak goes down, we need somebody who might surprise defenses a little bit to keep us in it, especially if Dak goes down for like half a game or a game or two to make sure we stay in it. Dak does better under pressure when it's within the team. Some of his best seasons when there was QB questions about whether he was going to be the QB or not. As soon as the pressure was off of him from within the team, he sort of started going downhill. And I am a Dak fan. I'm a Mississippi State fan as well.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Really? So you watch Dak?
So watching Dak come to the Cowboys, it was exciting. So I love Dak, and I give him a little bit of leniency that I wouldn't give another Dallas Cowboys QB. So I like the little bit of competition that it gives Dak. Cooper Rush was never going to be competition. I think it helps. We just need a little bit of safety. It's a super cheap, low-risk trade, and Dak was a 4th-round pick.
And they traded a 4th-round pick.
They got him for the practice squad. He was behind Jamil Showers, and who else was it? Kellen Moore. Neither of whom made the field that year. Jamil Showers got changed to a safety on the practice squad before it was done.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that's a 4th-round QB.
I love that knowledge, Summer. Oh, my God. Of course, it's about the Cowboys, so you know that. But that was pretty good. I like that. No, so, okay. So I get the Will Greer thing and Cooper Kupp. I get what you're saying. And Omar, I'm going to get your take on this here in a second. But so, I don't remember Dak's contract. But do you think – not this year, but if Dak fails, will they give Trey Lance a shot next year?
No. No matter what, I think they're going to go ahead and draft a QB next year. They've got to. Dak, if he doesn't prove that he can do something with what they've given him, unless they're going to throw McCarthy under the bus completely alone, they will draft a new QB that meets with the needs of whatever head coach comes and takes over for McCarthy, because they're not going to bring in a head coach for Dak like they did with McCarthy. They're going to bring in a new head coach, and they're going to give him the reins and say, okay, which QB do you want?
Okay. So
I think that Trey Lance is the stopgap between their future franchise quarterback after Dak, unless Dak does something crazy.
4th-round pick, and they're going to pay this guy for 2 years as a stopgap? Wow.
Yes.
So what do you do?
100%.
What do you do next year? Do you pick up his 5th-year option in next offseason? Do you not? I mean, Dak is due $160 million deal. Next year, he's still got like 67 million of dead cap space.
If Dak
He only
does
really
not get
saved
them,
like 3 million. So it's like, I get it. Like, I get, and like you mentioned competition. Like, why does Dak need competition? He already has competition with the fans. I mean, now living in Dallas, hearing people talk Dallas sports, I mean, they just hate him so much.
that's not competition.
And I
That's
don't
pressure.
understand.
That's
Well,
pressure.
You're right. Okay, you're right. It's pressure. But, man, he already has enough pressure. He doesn't need competition. I mean, I know he wants to win. I actually like Dak, like he seems like a good guy. You hear his story with everything that's happened with his brother, his injuries. I mean, I don't know like why people want to root against him.
I mean, if Summer watched him in Mississippi State, you would see that he got his ass whooped in a parking lot when he was in Mississippi State.
No, he didn't. He did really good. He took so the QB1 for Mississippi State went down with an injury. Dak took over.
I triggered her.
Number one in the power rankings, above Alabama in 2015. They were ranked number one.
Alabama should be one every year.
He won job from the injured quarterback and never gave it back. And then he came to the Cowboys and he did the same thing. So he does better when he is competing against somebody within his own team. The outside pressure has never bothered Dak.
So they should have brought Aaron Rodgers in instead then.
Oh, I hate you for saying that.
All right. That's okay. That's a pretty good take. So there's some points there, but I don't think that Trey is the stopgap. I think Trey could be the future. They want Dak to be the future. Dak's got to make a deep run. He's got to beat the Niners or the Eagles in the playoffs. That's it.
He's got to make it to the NFC Championship or beyond.
Right.
Which if he doesn't get to the NFC Championship, if they don't have a showing this year, Dak is not going to be their QB next year. McCarthy is not going to be their coach. Dan Quinn will be their coach, and Dan Quinn is going to be picking the new QB.
You know what? And this is good forecasting or projecting. I would say that McCarthy is gone and Dak is still there next year. And then they'll do that first before moving on from Dak, because as Omar just said, it's a $67 million dead cap hit. If they moved on from Dak, you're in rebuild mode at this point. Like, you have to just start all over. And that team is a Super Bowl ready team. Their defense and this offensive skill players, they are ready. The Cowboys are a lot like the Niners, and I kind of hate saying that. All right,
you got to bring them up every fucking time, don't you?
Well,
you have to slip it in there. You got to talk about the Niners. You got to talk about one of your trades. You got to talk.
I don't know if you realize this or not, but when you watch ESPN or Fox Sports 1, they always talk about the best teams in the league. And we're one of the best teams in the league. And so it's
actually, Dante, can I interject for a second?
Go ahead.
I mean, I will have to give them credit on this. I mean, they spent 3 first-round picks on a guy that they ended up trading away. No. I'm giving you credit. And then the following year, they get a 6th-round quarterback, and he shows up. I mean, most people will be talking about get rid of John Lynch, get rid of Shanahan. It's terrible. All you hear now is just it's one of the worst trades. It's one of the biggest busts, but you don't hear that San Francisco is a bad team or anything. They're still one of the top 3 teams. Their defense is elite. Even with Salah gone, I mean, they're still being able to just play at the same production. So it's like, as much as like it's annoying to hear, I mean, you got a 6th-round quarterback or 7th-round quarterback, Birdie.
Mr. Irrelevant. It was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yes.
It was the worst.
That's right. Who
you know what?
Name me a Mr. Irrelevant player that was actually even relevant. And it really the only list is Brock Purdy, so it's like
no one else has done that. But
I don't like it, but it's true. Like they're a good franchise, they're a good organization.
You're a Dolphins fan, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's you. It's
you have that on video.
Chris,
I just want to say,
Chris,
you admitting to being offensive.
You, Mark, and Chris, and
Gilbert and Mark.
Okay. All right. So the 4 of y'all are Dolphins fans. Wait, I thought Chris was a Bills fan.
Oh, well, you're right. I take it back. I was using Miami. He is a Bills fan. So it's just me, Gilbert, and Mark.
All right. I'm just double checking. All right. And then we got Summer, Jacob, and Kyle that are Cowboy fans. Yeah. All right. Anyway, we've talked about this for a long time. Moving on. Another news? What about this? The running back landscape. Jonathan Taylor. We see that Josh Jacobs just got signed to a 1-year, up to $12 million deal. We don't know what the base salary is. We know him and Austin Eckler and Derrick Henry. They all had this running back conference that didn't go anywhere. And so Mark was telling me, he's kind of trolling me a little bit because we were talking about trading for Josh Jacobs. And, he's saying his stock went up, but his stock stayed the same to me because he was always going to play for the Raiders. To me, the more troubling situation is what's happening in Indianapolis with Jonathan Taylor, who the Eagles are looking for, which I know Summer doesn't want to see that in that division. Miami, you guys down there in Miami, talk to me about Jonathan Taylor and where he could possibly end up, because it looks like he's going to sit out. I don't think this dude, it's personal between them two. What Jim Irsay said, all that kind of stuff, it seems personal. What do you guys think?
Omar, this is your party.
Okay, so I'll take the floor. I mean, it's just funny. Every offseason, the Dolphins are always in the thick of a trade talk or a free agent talk with a big fish. That's one thing I got to love about Stephen Ross. He's willing to spend the cash like Jerry Jones. But, I mean, this whole running back market and talk, though I agree running backs should get paid more for what they do. It's the truth, though. I mean, it's a dead market. You don't need to pay them. When they go out, I mean, look at it. You got James Robinson. Alfred Morris was a late-round pick. You got a bunch of day 3 guys, too, that end up coming in and producing for a team, even for a year or two. Running backs are truly a dime a dozen, however we like it. I mean, look, Deuce Vaughn is getting hype, and he's 5'5". Nobody's, they're just like –
Y'all see that video that CeeDee Lamb posted of Deuce Vaughn's shoes and gloves in the locker room? And they were like little baby gloves. They were like 4 teeth or whatever.
I got to see that. I mean, really, right now, the talks from what we heard is DN Ogba with a 2nd-round pick and a day 3 pick going, for JT. But the real thing is the money. And I would say, as a Dolphins team, I feel like we're kind of in a win now mode because let's be real. Though I love Tua, I think he's a great quarterback. He's got the injury history. The talk is always, can he play a full season? So we got this year, his 5th year, we got this year. Next year we can franchise him. We got Tyreek Hill said he's retiring at the end of his contract, so we got 3 more years with him. And then you got to pay Waddle in next year as well at some point. So it's like, or the following year. So why not spend the money on JT? We already lost Ramsey for the year. Build your defense by getting a great offense. And it would be good. Does he fit the old school, the Shanahan system? I mean, CMC technically didn't really fit the system when people talked about it, but he's such a generational talent. They kind of mentioned it. It's not like,
he was
he is perfect because he's a generational talent, just like JT's a generational talent,
in zone runner. That's why.
And exactly. I actually don't think JT will succeed as well. I mean, he'd be great for Philly as well, who's the other talk. But they play a lot of shotgun, they don't not that he can't do it. He's a great player, but he needs that head of steam. And I think running to the outside or even, just outside the gaps, is going to work well for him and the Dolphins. We don't have a great O-line, but
that's what I was going to say.
Indy doesn't even have a great team. So
he makes better sense to me in Philly because they have one of the best O-lines in the league. And so, it doesn't matter if you put that kind of runner, but I get you. And that's interesting with the Dolphins because y'all saw Tua talking shit to Ryan Clark, saying we get scrappy here in Samoa. Like, you hear that? I ain't never heard Tua talk like that. That was like, you want to fight, Ryan Clark? That's what he was asking him. Do you want to fight? I will knuckle up and fight you, which, I mean, look, Tua, obviously the injury history, we know what happened. I mean, I hope he does not get hurt again. And Summer, what do you think about Jonathan Taylor? I know you'd love to see him on the Cowboys with that Tony Pollard 1-2 punch.
I don't want to see him on the Cowboys. I'm not big on people throwing hissy fits. He had a bad year last year. He got injured when he was playing. He wasn't performing, whether it was because of the injury or because of the offensive line. I don't know. I mean, it's probably a combination of everything, but then he throws a little fit. Now he's holding out. And I kind of wonder whether the Colts are using the fact that other teams don't want to give a 1st-round pick for him as like see, we're not crazy. Take the money we've given you and shut up. We've got you a QB. We filled some other spots. Nobody wants to give a 1st-round pick for JT.
It's not worth it. It's you gotta pay him too. He wants to
and
get
I
paid.
wonder if when all is said and done, he's still playing for the Colts, but they give him a little bit of a fuck you, and let Zach Moss start. Not even Deion Jackson. They're
That
going to give Zach Moss the start.
With a broken arm.
Yeah.
Walking in, running with a cast.
Zach Moss is a horrible running back. I do not know why he's in the NFL. He's bad. He can catch, but he's slow. He can't run between the tackles. Deion Jackson is.
Oh, I'm not saying they do it because they think he's better. I say they do it as a fuck you.
Man, and you know what? You mentioned that they finally gave him a quarterback. Anthony Richardson is not a quarterback. He's a running back that plays quarterback. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. He's Josh Allen, but it's going to take him at least 3 to 4 years to learn how to pass in this league without throwing interceptions.
And how do you think that makes JT feel if he's stealing all of his runs?
Well, exactly. That's why he's holding out, because he didn't have Matt Ryan check down King to throw him the ball, because you know, he's – and I get what everyone's saying, but you know what I don't like sometimes is that when people side with ownership and front office when it comes to players sitting out, because that ownership or front office can cut a player at any time and not honor the contract that they gave them, yet they talk shit when the player sits out and they outplay their contract.
What are you talking about? They have a contract. You have to honor the contract. There's a certain amount of money that they know going into it that they will get, whether they get cut or whether they play.
Like NBA,
the team
NBA and MLB players.
Contract. The team can all they and Omar, I hear what you're saying. Guaranteed money is what rules. But when you sign them for 4 years and you hold their rights, meaning you have to tell me if you want to trade and have to agree to it. But if I outplay my money, if let's say, for example, let's say they sign Jonathan Taylor to a $50 million deal, but they give him $30 million of it up front in a signing bonus. And then his salary is less than $5 million each year for the remainder. But he outplays the money that they give him. He's a top 3 running back, 2,000 yards. He does all this shit. Why should he go into second and third year making less money than what he could have on the open market?
Put that on the agent and how they structured the contract.
I have a question, Summer. So when you go to work, you have a salary, you have a wage, but you can leave and go somewhere else and get paid more. Jonathan Taylor can't get out of that contract and go play for someone that's going to pay him. So, I mean, I get it, though. Like, yes, as a Dolphins fan, when it's talking about my team, yes, I side with the ownership. But I will – there's a little bit of hypocrisy.
No, I'm so sorry. I don't.
But when it's someone else, when it's another team, it's siding with the player.
You sound like my friend Jacob Summer.
I'm not siding with either one. There's a contract. Both the agent and the team have a contract. You've got your guaranteed money. You know you're good and you're bad. And when it comes to running backs, I think it's a little bit different with wide receivers. Well, when it comes to running backs, you have a certain amount of time where you're viable and you're good and you've got the power in your legs to still do it. You should be trying to outplay your contract because you want a second contract.
But what sucks for running backs is it's the only position where you can have career numbers. Sorry. You can have career numbers, and then they say, well, you know what? There's too many miles on those legs. You don't hear a receiver catching 120 balls and 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. They go, well, you know what? Those hands.
That's why I said it's different for wide receivers. But when it comes to a running back, you should be trying to outplay your contract because you want that second contract. You do some stupid ass shit where you get your contract and then you go, okay, now I'm going to dial it back so that I'm still powerful and healthy or whatever. And somebody else is going to give me a contract. Nobody's going to do that. They're going to be like, no, man, he got the contract and he did exactly what Zeke did.
That's how they do it, though. I mean, it's
in Jonathan Taylor's rights to sit out and hurt the team and not be at training camp and mini camp and practices and even sit out into the seat. Chris Jones is one of the top 3 best defensive tackles.
Mississippi State boy.
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
On that. But they're not paying him because they know he's 33 or 34. They don't want to pay him, but he's still going out there performing. I understand what you're saying. And it's the CBA that the agents have to negotiate within the rules, and the rules are fucked up for not just running backs, but for all players. That 2 years.
I know it must suck making millions of dollars to play a game.
Whoa! But if you compare it to other sports, what they do, they don't get paid as much though.
No.
To other sports.
And here's another thing: Summer.
Sure, he'll make more than
When
me.
you are the best in the world at something, you deserve to be compensated accordingly. If I'm a Nobel Peace winner, if I am the top scientist in nuclear physics, if I am the best at something in the world, I deserve to be paid as such. There is no one on earth that can play the running back.
Oh, there's just nobody that played at that college that got the ESPN exposure that got drafted. You're acting like these dudes' legs are the glory of all. Like,
they're the best in the world at athletes. They're the best in the
it's
world.
entertainment. It's entertainment, and people pay to watch you. So, especially certain players, you know, people go to the games to watch specifically. So, yeah, you deserve some more money. I mean, to me, JT is the Colts. I mean,
I am not saying he doesn't deserve the money. I was just saying that it's not the front office is the bad guy and the player on the other end is the bad guy. But both of them knew what they were getting into. There was a contract. The player didn't go, "Oh shit, I didn't know that in year 3 this was going to happen to me." He knew.
No, Summer, if they both know they're at 22 and it's a contract, and we know the game set up to where a player can sit out and not sign a contract, then that's part of it. Like the team that Jonathan Taylor could not be in contract or not accept a franchise tag because the contract is over. There's a difference between the contract and then what the franchise tag and the second year tag can do. You have to pay him a certain amount. But I don't have to sign it. Jonathan Taylor is a free agent. He is not signed to anybody. He did not sign the franchise tag, or those guys don't sign it. That means that they're not part of anything, which means, though, if they
but when they signed their rookie contract, they knew that going into those final years, they would be restricted. They could get franchise tag. You know all of this going in. You're signing a rookie contract.
The rookie contract has a cap. It's not like anymore where you can Sam Bradford the league, you know, and just steal $80 million and never do anything good in your life.
No, you got to pull an Eli Manning and be like, "No, I don't want a rookie contract with you. I want to go to a different team and sign a rookie contract with them."
There's only a few people with that last name that could actually pull that card, and Eli Manning.
Well, either way, it doesn't matter if you pull that card or not. If you were a first overall pick, or, you know, first rounders get a 4-year contract with a 5th-year option. Second rounders get 4 years, and the money goes down. By every pick, it's usually, they say, about $1 million, or give or take. You know, and I don't know what it is in the second round, but he only do $4 million this year. He is not saying that he wants to get paid more now. He just wants to secure his contract extension already, which is smart because guess what? He's a running back that even in college hit over 800 carries in college. Which now it's like you get guys like Antonio Gibson. We love him. Why do we love him? Because he's never touched the ball in college. So we're gonna, you know, use him.
And
now.
what has he done? I mean, not that.
I'm just using him as an example of how the NFL likes guys that are rarely used in college, but the ones that are the most used, like Jonathan Taylor, after their rookie year, they're like, "You're damaged goods to us." Because,
like I said, it's very different for running backs and wide receivers. But no matter what, there's a contract somewhere. Either their rookie
but you can't
contract
compare a rookie contract to a real
happen.
deal. This is a no cap deal for him now that he can make. So I get that he has to honor the contract, which he was going to honor the contract. I think the story gets a little confusing where he's not playing because Jim Irsay said, "We're not paying you that much next year, or for your next deal." And that's where he was kind of like, "Hey, fuck you," like
Do
I
you
should
think
get
that
paid.
if he played through last year, regardless of whether they did anything, but he actually put on the numbers. By the way, last year I went and watched the Colts and Denver play at Mile High Stadium, and it was the worst game I have ever been at.
I remember
ever. It was horrible.
I remember you talking.
Was Jeff Saturday coaching that game?
Huh?
I think so.
Jeff Saturday was coaching that game for the Colts.
And I think JT got pulled out last second, but it was just a terrible. Like the Colts were terrible last year.
Yeah.
I don't think JT even played. It was Nyheim Hines. I mean, Nyheim Hines got injured during the game and didn't play after that. And it was a horrible. And I had JT on my team. Anyways, either way, I feel like y'all are ganging up on me. And
no, we're not ganging up.
And I want to hear Omar's power rankings.
You say that every time, Summer. God dang it!
I'll tell you this much, Chris, White Walkers will 150% agree with you. He's you sign a contract, that's it type of guy. But I think there's a little bit more.
Corporate America.
Corporate.
All right, Omar, bottom 3, top 3. Let's get into it.
You know what, man? I was actually just re-looking now. I only really have it. I have a couple bottoms. I
All right,
have 5 teams that I will say I don't like too much.
let's go.
I'm gonna start with Michael Burrell's team. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but I mean Deshaun Watson and then Kenny Pickett. I mean, as your 2 quarterbacks, and then after that, you really just have 2 backups as your quarterback. With, I mean, Christian McCaffrey. Okay, no one needs to talk about that. But after that, I mean, Zeke. I mean, okay, he's got Dalvin now. His receiving core, I do like his first 2 receivers, AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley. But Mike Evans is a solid guy. He'll probably get 1,000 yards. I do like Jackson Smith and Jigba, but he's not going to do anything this year, being in a crowded wide receiver room.
He's
Are you so you're talking rankings for this year or dynasty rankings? I just need to
I
clarify.
mean, it's for this year, but I kind of look a little bit has an influence for the next years. His team. Well, I mean, really, running back. He has a lot of old running backs, anyways. If you want to look at next year, so he doesn't, have much hope after this season. So it doesn't even look that good. I mean, just because going off of, I'm looking at from the trades and just swiping. Then another team is like Big Joe. I mean, I love his quarterback and I love Cousins as his second guy, but after that, I mean, he really went Bengaled out. I mean, you have the Bengals quarterback, running back, your main receivers T Higgins. I know my rankings are late, so Jerry Judy's hurt, with a hammy. Hamstring injuries linger. He's not going to be. He hasn't even had 1,000 yards yet in his career, and I really had high hopes for this man, but he's kind of been a bust. He's got 2 oldies in Lockett and Brandon Cooks. They're nice. They're solid. His team will kind of compete, but I don't really see him making it into the playoffs for this year.
Quick question. Travis Kelce. He's got Travis Kelce. Do you see Travis Kelce as being a starter or a top tight end next year and beyond?
I think Kelce, until the day he retires, is going to be a beast.
Exactly.
The way he moves, he's never moved fast. I don't know how to explain it. He's more nimble than Jimmy Graham. If you ever watch Jimmy Graham play, at one point, Jimmy Graham stiffened up real quick, but he's got like the Jimmy Graham movement with a little bit of what's his name? One from Vernon Davis. He reminds me a little bit of Vernon Davis.
Okay, yeah.
Vernon Davis could have been as far as running with power. Not the but that guy. He's a cheat code. I give him that. But
Summer, to your question, I think Travis Kelce, if he's playing in the NFL, he will be a top 6 tight end, and he will retire before he's not that good anymore. You know what I'm saying? He's if he wins another championship, who says he won't retire now? But I think Travis Kelce will be a tight end 1 or top 3 guy next year for sure. If he plays with Patrick Mahomes on the Chiefs, I'll say, and the following year he could if he wanted to, type thing.
I think as long as he has Andy Reid as a coach,
and
the way he does the misdirection, on that team, yeah. But he even did it with Alex Smith, so it just goes to show like that offensive scheme, the way the tight end gets open. I mean, he's a cheat code. He's wide open, and he's the best player on that team, and he's wide open.
Yeah, I'm messing with Summer. You just read this boring that you have to be on your phone on the podcast. Is that what you're doing?
I'm looking at Sleeper. I'm on my work computer. It won't let me open Sleeper.
All right. Well, you know what? You got a pack. I thought you were scrolling Instagram this whole time.
No, I was just thinking this is a dynasty league, right? I think what concerns me the most about Joe's team isn't this year. It's the fact that he doesn't have any QBs for future years.
Joe's team, yeah. Now
he's already traded away one of his next year's first-round picks. So unless he's going to grab,
he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't. He still got it. He got it 2024. We're talking about Big Joe, right?
Yeah, he's got a first and third round next year. I said he's got. I'm sorry, next year's picks, not first-round picks.
Yeah,
he's already traded away one of his picks for next year.
Round pick.
But he's got a lot of old people on his team, and he kind of needs all those picks. That's all.
Okay. All right.
Just a side note, I was looking, Summer, I really got to give it. I mean, your running backs, your quarterbacks, I love, but it was like, man, why didn't you get wide receivers? That's where it's like, I would have put your team as a top contender if it wasn't that. I mean,
we're not talking about that. Move on.
No, we are. He's bringing up three teams.
Well, it's not a. You're not a
are-
bottom three. You're not a bottom three. I
Thank
would
you.
say. I mean, because I do think
But I am
Garrett
a
Wilson's going to hold up, and Drake
Whoa,
London's going to.
whoa. Let's keep it moving.
Do you guys edit this? Is this ever edited?
Whoa.
Nah. I mean, another team. I gotta hit up Gilbert. Nuts in your mouth. I mean, what are you doing, bro? What year did you draft for? I love you, man, but
Get a drink. I'll be right back.
I mean, Dak Prescott's solid. Okay, he's got the rookie quarterback. Kyler Murray's already gone bad. They're saying he's not going to play. Yeah, he's got running backs. I like Taylor, Bijan, but after that, I mean, I don't really see what value he has. I mean, Cooper Kupp, but then the rest, Michael Pittman. Sorry, that Indy team is terrible. I don't see him getting any better. Mike Williams has burned everybody every year. And, you just go down the list. I mean, he just doesn't have anybody else to really make anything worth note, except he's got two good tight ends in Kittle and Freiermuth. But other than that,
Tell me about his taxi squad. So if it's a dynasty league building up, he's got Sam Laporta on his taxi squad, which I like. He's got Jonathan Mingo on his taxi squad, which I like. They might both be fantasy relevant this year.
Well, with a rookie quarterback, no wide receiver has ever had a higher ranking than wide receiver 39 with a rookie quarterback. So that means teams with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud starting, you can't expect any of those wide receivers to even make it to a wide receiver 3. So that's just a little bit of knowledge there that, I do like Mingo for the future, but, and Bryce for the future. But for this year, I got to put him in the bottom,
What about Sam Laporta?
I do like Sam Laporta. They're talking about how they're throwing to him and he's catching everything. I think he could be an impact on his team now. I mean, really, I think Gilbert can make up for his team is moving one of his tight ends. So, either George Kittle or Sam Laporta, when they start playing and people start to, see what they need, and that might help them. But, I mean, how many tight ends can you play? How many tight ends can you play in this league? 2? Or
Last
3?
question. So we talked about Jonathan Taylor, but what team? What team that's in the running would give Gilbert the best the best value for Jonathan Taylor on his team?
Oh, for Jonathan Taylor on his team, the best value? My boy Dante. He'll find something. He'll figure something out.
No. I meant what signing. So there's a couple teams in the running for signing JT. It's not necessarily the Miami. It's not necessarily the Dolphins.
Okay.
What would be the best spot for him to land for fantasy value?
He's gonna say his Miami team. Summer, that's a T-ball.
I mean, honestly, if you really think about it, I mean, I don't know what Philly's doing with. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell is being reported as getting most of the reps. So, I mean, Philly's definitely great because guess what? They're going to be up a lot and they're going to run the ball more. But they do have DeAndre Swift that they might just use just to ease Jonathan Taylor because you don't have to break him. But I will say this: Jonathan Taylor's still recovering from injury, so he's not going to be he's not going to be good until maybe the middle of the season, especially if he gets traded to a new team. But I would say Miami because the fact is Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert can't carry a full season. Mostert's old. Devon A. Chain's too small.
You didn't know during the draft.
He's going to the Bears.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's going to the Bears, and then Freeman just went down today. You saw that, right?
Wait,
what? Who just went down today? Foreman, I think, right?
All right, Foreman.
Oh, did he? No, I did not see that.
Well, I don't know how serious it is.
News button. I didn't even know that. Wait, Deontay Foreman went down, so they got just Roshan and Khalil.
Yeah.
Khalil Herbert is. I don't know. He could be great. I think.
But reports haven't shown the Bears really making a hard push. Really, last I read was Eagles and Dolphins are pretty much the final 2 teams in the running for him. So, though I think he makes the best sense for the Bears, and it would help the Bears tremendously, I don't see him getting traded there right now.
Not the Bears. I'm just like, which team? Between the Bears, the Eagles, and the Dolphins, which landing spot would help Gilbert the most?
The Bears, absolutely. The Bears, Dolphins, Eagles, I would say.
In that order?
In that order right now.
Yeah, because you got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a running back. He's going to snatch up those goal line touchdowns.
Well,
So.
and I think too, again, when they're going to be up, they're going to use a committee to not wear him out. So it's going to hurt, his value. Not that he wouldn't be good. I mean, if you put him on the Eagles, they're Super Bowl winners, but this is fantasy. And if you're up, you usually take out your best running back, and you rest them. So the Bears would be the best because they'll be competitive all year, and he'll play every single down, every single minute,
All right. I'll stop interrupting you and asking you a ton of questions.
No,
Keep
you
going.
can
that's what we're
ask
doing.
away. I love it.
Let's just get to know Omar Day for the rest of the week. I know Shannon and TJ and Jacob.
Yeah, now I know when I see a sticker, I know who you are.
Exactly. You know what, Summer, that's a good point. Some of these stickers, I'm like, wait, who is that? Because they keep coming, unless they're like the rat sticker or the one you going like that. That's the only ones that I really know.
You mean unless it's a dude or a blonde girl, then you don't know who it is?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to bring up how you recognize me in the league because you've already brought that up before.
Hey. I know you. Everybody else made it racist.
No,
Everybody else.
I have not seen that part of the chat. Did not know that, but, I guess it's not untrue, though.
I am. I'm kind of racist.
That was good. I love me some Summer.
I mean, aside of you two and Kyle, I don't know how the rest of the league looks except for Mark, and even Mark surprises me because Gilbert throws in so many pictures of Mark from old and young.
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled was a good one. That's a great one.
Once Kyle is supposed to do one with the Mark Summer, you should get in on that one. Once he does, I'm looking forward to seeing a video like this so I can call him DJ Khaled too.
But we do use all of Gilbert's old photos, where I would call his fat photos, because Gilbert's,
we all have
gotten fit. We don't use any of Gilbert's good photos. We find all his chubby photos and use that. So, I will say, in Gilbert's defense, since we're trolling, you don't get the real Gilbert.
All right, top three teams.
Top three. So I only got two, man. I only got two. We'll start with my buddy Chris. He gave away a first to get Diggs, which push his team, really up there.
I set him up nice.
Chris, you set him up nice.
Oh, me, Chris.
But he's gotten DJ Moore in 2 leagues, and he's traded him in both leagues. So he's really high on him, but he gives them away like peanuts,
You must know something that I don't. Then, man, that makes me nervous. I'm glad you gave me that little piece of intel, though. I like that.
Nah. Well, I call it live draft drunk post trades. The other guy, he got Tony Pollard in a full point PPR league straight up for DJ Moore. And you know what he likes to defend it with? You want to know how he defends it with? DJ Moore is going to do a lot better than what you guys think.
He sounds like me every time I make a trade. I always talk about the players I gave up.
He has to defend the guy, so people want to trade with him. I'm like, bro, the deal is done. He offered it to you. Just take it. Take the W, man.
Every time that Dante offers a trade, I wonder what face he's making when he types up the bullshit that goes along with his. He's like, this is my guy. This is really my guy.
Oh,
and this is what he's going to do for you this year. And he's like,
oh, come on. Look.
I got the side text. What do you really think? I'm like, I think you did a great deal. I just wish you offered me good deals like that,
What? I do. You just don't see him the way that I do. And if you
I accepted a deal and you started shopping that guy, okay? I'm not gonna go dirty details.
Something and you sent it to me, and I'm like, whoa, this is like I'm just courting you. You want to go to third base, like real quick.
You said this player for this player. You didn't ask, what do you think? You go, this player for this player straight up, and I go, accept.
I apologize for not qualifying, but usually you know what I've found in this league? It's much better to just talk to somebody, see what they're thinking, instead of just sending a trade and saying, hey, accept it or not. I've got some exploding offers from some other people in this league. I know I tried to give one, I think, to Chris earlier, an exploding offer. Or no, it was Michael. Michael, this guy right here, he's a tough nut to crack, and I love him to death. But he's got some people that I really, really want, and I've offered him the farm. And I'm talking 3 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and then 2 or 3 top 24 players to get certain guys. And you know what he did to me last night or 2 nights ago? He sent me the emoji of the gif of Will Smith doing the vaporizer in Men in Black and saying, he's vaporizing me. He's like, I'm forgetting everything that you have ever said to me. He wiped me clean from his from his cerebellum, like for real. And
That's good. You start fresh with him then.
you know what? That's actually a good point. I should use that. I'm going to start fresh with you. He's willing to engage, but outside of that, if you guys haven't noticed, and this is why I was saying earlier, the Niners are a great team. I want as many Niners as I want. I want Buckeyes players. I know Summer doesn't want to hear this right now. I know she's going to say stuff, but I want good players on the best teams in the league. Okay.
I have a question then. Since you're a Niners fan, Ayuk or Debo moving forward, especially in Ayuk. You think Ayuk does better this year? Fantasy wise, we're talking fantasy wise.
You said moving forward, so are you asking if he's going to do better this year, or if he's going to do better moving forward?
This year. Well, okay. Let's start with. I guess moving forward, we all know Ayuk because he's a younger one. But what do you think this year, Ayuk or Debo?
So Ayuk is not just the younger one. He's also the better wide receiver. He's a better route runner. He's a better catcher of the ball, and he has 4.4 speed. Okay. Debo is going to be utilized more because of his versatility. I can line him inline, outside, in the backfield. He can carry. I can gadget play this, jet sweep over here, and then run the back over to Debo. Debo is a really good person that can get the ball in his hands, and then he's yak. He's a yak bro. You know what I'm saying? Like Kittle. Yeah. But as a guy working the route tree as the X wide receiver, it's Brandon Ayuk. He is a number one first overall pick. He is the third wide receiver drafted after CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy, even though I think CeeDee Lamb is the only better wide receiver in that class other than Brandon Ayuk. He's better than Jerry Jeudy, in my opinion, because I've watched him. And so this year in fantasy points, I think they're going to be very similar. Okay, Ayuk and Debo. They're going to finish around, wide receiver, I'd say 18 to 24. Somewhere around there. Both of them will. But next year and the year after, I expect Brandon Ayuk to ascend to a top 12 guy. Not top 8, not top 10, top 12. I think he'll be a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 for the next 6 years.
Sorry, you're saying Ayuk or Debo?
I'm talking about Ayuk for year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But for this year, okay, and with the contract, and Debo's 27, he's going to be 28 next year. I think Debo will be, and in fantasy, him and Ayuk are both wide receiver 2s. You can use them both as wide receiver 2. Some weeks they may be 3, some weeks they may be 1, but they're both pretty much wide receiver 2s. I think next year they both will be wide receiver 2s. After that, Debo will be off the team, and Ayuk is the number 1 passing option, even over Kittle. Okay, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, and whoever else we draft or sign after that.
I feel like San Francisco the first 6 weeks doesn't use Ayuk, and then after that they start to implement them, and it's like I don't know why they take so long to do it, but yeah, I was just curious on that. But moving to my lot, I'm going to pull a Dante here. I truly believe, my team is built for the next 2 years to win it. And then after that, I need to completely revamp and rebuild, unless I get some trades in. But
so are you think number 1 or number 2, Omar? What do you think? Who's got where are you at with these top 3 teams? Do you think your team is what?
It's hard to put me at number 1 only because, Geno Smith, and then my next best quarterback is, CJ Stroud or Desmond Ridder. So it's hard to put me at number 1 in that aspect. But, just overall, as far as talent, I know, during the season, I have pieces to make a trade to fix that problem,
sure,
to put me over the hump. But, again, I really do see my team going for the first 2 years up here, and then right after, I'll just be a bottom barrel rebuilding. But that's,
Summer, what do you think about that? Do you think Omar, can you see his team? Do you think he has one of the, let's say, top 3 teams in the league?
I don't think necessarily top 3. I think depending on how things play out this year, there's a lot of question marks in terms of a lot of rookie QBs. So how does that add value to the wide receivers in the league? How do those QBs play, depending on where we think they're going to, how we think they're going to do. There's a lot of unknowns. I can
Okay.
see him ending in the top 5.
Okay.
I don't see a major drop off if he plays his,
I
his
agree with that too. I agree.
if he uses his draft picks over the next couple years wisely, executes some good in-season trades based off of, hey, somebody's peaking, let's do it, let's use it. What I feel like you built up a lot of like risk versus reward.
Agreed.
Heavier on the reward side, and if you utilize it well, you can capitalize it, turn it into a pretty solid team that'll be dynasty. I don't see a big drop off if you do it well.
I 100% agree with that. I think you definitely have a top 3, maybe 3 or 4 team in the league this year and moving forward. I don't really see. I can see. And Kyle always says this. He's like, everyone thinks my team is better than myself because we're always looking at our own teams and poking holes in it, where other people see it at a glance because they're just checking it out for a trade or whatever. Like, God damn, he's got fire. But we're always digging into our players deeper than everyone else. And so we're always more critical of it. But Omar, you have a great team. You have a great team, in my opinion, not just for this year, but you're going to be in the top. She said top 3, 4.
If you don't fuck it up.
No, and you know what?
It's a good point. If you don't fuck it up.
Like when I look, there's obviously it's a super flex, so quarterback is important, which is one of the reasons why, like, Summer, I love your team. I mean, you have Justin Herbert and Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is going to play for.
He's got a top
next
team. What 100?
Yeah. With quarterbacks, I mean, people act like
this year Summer, but in 3 or 4 years, your team's going to be fucking nice.
But I think if you remove quarterback, I think positional wise, I don't see many teams that match up with me in that aspect. There are a lot of other good teams, but again,
thing is if my QB stay healthy this year, I will still outscore all y'all.
Oh yeah, okay.
But we all know that they never do.
Not on your
team.
Kyle knows. Not on your team. Not on your team.
It is a curse to be drafted to Summer's any team at all.
That Summer even talks about.
Hold on. Let me see if I have any players from your team. And damn it, Summer, you need to trade Saquon. I have him in a keeper league. He's got to go.
All right, I'm putting him on the trade block just for you.
Thank you. I just looked up. I'm like, I got him. But
who's the Steelers fan? Is it TJ?
It's TJ.
Who screams every time I draft a Steeler? He's like, no, don't do it.
Oh,
let's come to the other league. Yeah, our league.
What a nice life he has being a Steelers fan. I mean, just always a winning, especially with Tomlin. No losing seasons. Have you seen that stat?
I did see that stat. And you know what else I saw? Mike Tomlin has these like sayings during training camp, and the players regurgitate them. One of the ones was like, a reporter asked him, "Hey, Mike, why are you starting your starters in the 3rd preseason game?" He's like, "You can't win a fight if you don't spar." And I'm like, "Wow, dude, that's fucking dumb. You got to get in there and mix it, spar. If you're a starter, if you're the champ, if you're the guy, you need to trade paint like in NASCAR. You gotta fight. You gotta get in there and get going before the real prize fight." I love that line. Mike Tomlin has like one-liners to like get you going and get you amped that I love. That's what I love about Mike Tomlin.
Is that why you won't stop fucking trading?
I'm not going to stop fucking trading because that's just who I am, Summer. You know this.
He likes to trade. Let him trade.
In fantasy. Okay, I'm going to trade. Who gives a shit? Whatever. I think I have like 6 guys that I drafted in this league still on my team. Everybody else is gone.
I'll tell you this, Dante. You remind me a lot of my brother when it comes to it. I have my brother in almost every fantasy league except this one. And that guy trades just to trade. Sometimes I ask him, "Why'd you do that?" He goes, I was bored. And you know what? It works out. I look at him like it's a terrible deal, and it works out. So you keep doing keep trading. It's
do that. I told you guys, I like just negotiating and talking to players and people, and I don't know. I mean, and yes, look, I may have misspoke. Winning is important. I love it. Winning is great. I don't get the money, whatever, but I just like interacting with other fantasy football players and getting their takes on players and us coming to an agreement, and whether I think I'm winning and don't get me wrong, I've offered stuff where I know I'm losing, but I want the players more than what I'm going to get out of having them, if that makes sense. Like, I want the storyline of having Keenan Allen on my team this year and giving up Njoku, who I got from Summer, right? So I just moved Zach Ertz in a second-round pick, and I ended up with Keenan Allen. That's literally what happened in the last 2
You
years.
did not trade Zach Ertz. You traded me a second-round pick next year, which is what I gave you Njoku for. I didn't give two shits about Zach Ertz.
I gave you a second-round pick in Zach Ertz, like I said, and I ended up getting Keenan Allen. Okay, so this trade that I just made with TJ last night, I don't care about Alvin Kamara. He's good. He's going to, 3 games, whatever. I made the trade to get Keenan Allen. I needed a guy, and Omar knows because we've been talking about Cooper Kupp ever since he's had him on the block. I wanted a veteran wide receiver, somebody that's 29, 30 years old, that's established with a good quarterback. Amari Cooper.
We got to post these trades in the chat. I was busy doing fantasy homework for my draft this year today that I had, but I didn't even notice it. So you traded Keenan and Kamara, or you got Keenan and Kamara for Njoku, Myers. Man, you've been throwing Myers at everybody, huh?
He really does not want him.
And a third rounder, man.
But Myers is 6'2", 26 years old, and he's a PPR stud. He's a top 24 guy, man.
Hey TJ, if you're giving up, man, call me up, bro. I'll take some of your players off of you, man. I'm sorry, bro. It's a great trade. I like it for you, man. Keenan is the ultimate PPR guy.
Exactly. That's why I wanted him. That's exactly what I've been telling
to add to your running back depth with Alvin Kamara.
Yes. Thank you,
it's a great
Omar.
trade. You just gave up a third and Myers. I mean, I'm sorry, Jimmy G doesn't give 2 wide receivers good production. He gives 1 wide receiver a tight end production.
Throws from the 18 to 20s. Jimmy G is going to make Myers a very good wide receiver.
And here we are talking about Dante trade.
I have
Thankfully, Dante, you've had the opportunity to talk both about the 49ers and your trades.
You know what? It always ends up that way because the team rises to the top, Summer. You just always end up talking about the best teams and the best players, the best fantasy players. And so I'm sorry that you have to listen to my greatness all the time. Like, I'm sorry that you've been subjected for the last 5 years.
So, Omar, for your awareness, when we plan our podcasts, it's like we say, please do not talk about the 49ers. Do not talk about your fucking trades.
Omar brought it up, Summer.
No, because I heard trade, and that you made yesterday, and I looked. I'm like, wait, a trade happened yesterday? Didn't even notice. I was busy, doing some mocks. But I do have a question for you guys, though. I know you don't know everybody in this league, but who do you think is the first team to go full tank mode? And do you think it's this year?
I know my answer, but ladies first.
I don't know what you mean by full tank.
So he's asking who is going to give up on the year and try to get a high draft pick by not winning games later in the year? Tanking. Who's going to tank first?
Oh, Braille.
Ooh, she thinks Mike Braille. I disagree with that. I don't think Mike's going to do that. I think it's going to be Joe Brown.
What team is his? Big Joe?
Big Joe, the one I gave Kirk Cousins to. I think the way he's got it set up now, and he's got his tight ends. He loves his tight ends. But I think he may end up doing tanking. If anyone tanks first, it might be him. I honestly think Joe could either win like 6 games right out of the rip and try to go to the playoffs, or he's going to lose 6 games and then he'll tank. He'll try to get higher draft picks.
I think depending on how Gilbert's team performs, I think he might go full tank first because he's definitely a calculated guy, and I could definitely see him just thinking now that it's a dynasty, really down the line. I like to call him like the Bill Belichick of fantasy. He really likes to get those unknown names. Ooh. And hope they pan out. And it's worked some years. Some years it works. Some years it's like, yeah, dude, you drafted trash. And then other years you're like, bro, I can't believe it, bro. You started Rex Burkhead and he got you 25 points, in a playoff game.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, you know what? I mean, I like me some Gilbert. That's good. That's cool. He's getting into it, watching film, college film.
He's calculated, man. If he asks for a guy, he's going to get mad. He's going to tell me, he's going to probably write in the chat, keep my name out your mouth, but, and send a little Will Smith gif. But You know, Gilbert's a sneaky guy, so you might think you're getting a good deal, but be careful. I just say read your player bios.
You hear that?
Read the news.
That's nice. Okay. Well, look, guys. All right. I think is that your top teams, Omar? It looks like we heard.
I would say top two is myself and Chris. I mean, there's many other teams that are good that I like, and then
Okay.
the bottom teams, Mike, Gilbert, Joe. I'd put in Kyle. Kyle's team is. I think his team is more built for future years because he's got some young talent.
I'm glad we got that on the record, though.
You're not going to get on the record.
Well, Kyle's Texas guy, right?
Like 3 to 4 year teams, they're going to compete. They're going to compete, both of them. So anyway,
I mean,
yeah,
this was fun, man.
It was fun. This was great. Thank you guys for joining. Omar gave some time out this afternoon. He just came from working out and doing another draft and all this other bullshit. And Summer, my road dog, my home girl, she's here. So it's good. We got more of these coming. I'm trying to get these in before the season starts because we're really going to be looking at games and all that other stuff. And we'll just maybe do 1 or 2 of these a week. But this was great. SKD League, year 1, preseason, 2 weeks before.
Excited. I'm excited,
Awesome.
man. I'm excited. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye.